And now our last section for this lecture. And this is an extra credit assignment that lasts for the whole semester. We're in a very hot area here with media. There's a lot going on in the news, a lot of controversial things going on with media. And it's important for our class to do our best to discuss and think about many of those things. So, if you submit to me a current article about today's media environment, either here in the U.S. or worldwide, along with 3 discussion questions for the class, just by submitting it, you will get 3 points extra credit in the class participation part of the grading. In class participation, this is under quizzes, participation in quizzes and discussions. You'll see that in the syllabus. So you can't, build it up to 1,000 points here, but for every student, I'll just give you 15 points maximum per student, but you feel free to keep submitting after that. I will choose one of the articles submitted by class, by the students, for posting for discussion every week. It'll be one of our discussion items, as you saw on the syllabus. If you don't submit anything, or I don't think anything is very interesting or topical or whatever any given week, I will choose my own news article about the media to post for discussion. Here are some examples of media news. Okay, this one is just a piece of business news, and it's about Gannett, a company I actually used to work for, the largest newspaper in the country and the publisher of USA Today, which you guys may know of, is being acquired by another newspaper company called Gatehouse. So this is Give the Times. Yay, newspapers. Anyway, so this is an example of an article. In this case, it's from the New York Times about 2 companies in the newspaper industry merging. Okay, so that's one example. The other example, which I will hopefully shortly find, is this one. And this one is it's about Brazil, and it's about how YouTube, which has an algorithm. You know how when you're logged into YouTube and you're watching a video, it'll put suggested sort of next videos for you to the right. And it uses its own algorithm to try to figure out what you're going to be interested in. It's based on artificial intelligence, learned from user behavior, and it pairs videos with recommendations for others. Now, in this article, what seems to be going on is, this is a fellow here, YouTube is being criticized for shifting political views to the right, meaning to the more conservative. So what's been going on is that when you watch a YouTube video, a lot of people have been getting recommendations that the next thing they read is or look at is something from the far right. It could even be fake news, could be a made-up story, and that's what they're saying. And in fact, a very conservative person has just been elected as the head of Brazil. So there's another example. So it could be just some business news, and you have to come up with 3 questions about it for us to discuss, or it could be something like this, which is more controversial, I think you could say, in terms of subject matter. Okay. Now, we have covered a lot in this first class, this first online lecture. But hopefully it's starting to provide the foundation for us to do other things and understand what we're doing with media as we move on. It gives us, I think, a point of view and a way to evaluate what media are doing, how well they're working or not working, etc. What we're going to be doing class after next, as you saw from the syllabus, is talking about each of the basic media types: out of home, newspaper, magazines, etc. Each lecture will be about one media type. And so now that we have an understanding of cost per thousand and quality of impression and the purchase funnel and copy strategy, we have the tools, hopefully, to better analyze and think about what the media are doing. So it's not just judgmental on our part. We're applying some tools to kind of evaluate and understand what's going on. So those of you who know me know I believe in the tell-them method for presenting. The tell-them method is three things. Tell them what you're going to tell them. Tell them what you told them. So you'll remember some time ago when I started this lecture here, we went over the syllabus. That was me telling you what I was going to tell you. Then we had the lectures and the different things going on here. And now at the end, I want to quickly summarize what we've gone over, try to pull it all together for you guys a little bit. So what have we done in this first class? We defined medium, right, as being between two things. And medium is in between someone who wants to communicate and someone who's been communicated with, right? Okay. Someone who's being communicated with is the audience. This class is audiences and media. Okay. We reviewed the syllabus in some detail, talked about what we're trying to accomplish in this class and in this course, in terms of what you're going to learn, some skills you're going to have when we come out of this, the next few weeks, months. Second, we kind of backed up with a big, broad overview of marketing and talked about two kinds of customers, prospects or new customers and current customers. We talked about the purchase funnel and acapella and the 6 steps of the purchase funnel. And we talked about advertising and media being at the top of the purchase funnel. The role of advertising and media is to make new customers aware of our product or service and then start to persuade them to prefer it and finally to purchase it. We talked about, and media are up there at the top. They're expensive. The Super Bowl ad for $5 million is to acquire new customers. Okay. We talked about copy strategies so that when we look at ads, we don't just say, oh, I like it. Oh, it's red. The dress is red. It was too short. It was funny. We're not just going to do that. We're going to say, let's try to analyze what this ad is trying to accomplish with Tabasco. Target, benefit, support, brand character, and in some cases, offer, if it's a direct ad. If it's a branding ad, there won't be an offer. So we then moved into a discussion of media, key media principles, reach, frequency, gross ratings points, impressions, and we talked about how we compare different types of media, out-of-home, radio, TV. They have different cost per thousand. One of the reasons they have a different cost per thousand is because it's per thousand impressions. In a 5-second radio ad is an impression, and so is sitting in front of 20 ads on the inside of a subway car. One lasts for 5 seconds, one could last for 10 minutes. But each one of those is an impression. So I'm going to pay more if I have a longer impression, if I have depth of sale, if I have movement and sound. So there's a difference between the quality of impression. There's a difference between cost per thousand impressions. We looked quickly at spending by medium. We looked at spending overall in media in the U.S. and advertising in the U.S. and worldwide. Obviously growing. We looked at media types. We saw internet as the fastest growing, internet and mobile, surprise, surprise, and prints, newspaper, magazines taking a hit. We talked about one particular TV show, the Super Bowl, that ran some months ago. Cost $5.4 million for a 30-second commercial and reach up to half the households in the U.S. And we talked about sports being the number one type of programming worldwide. Some sports programming reaching 3.5 or more billion people. And then we talked about, spending by medium. We talked about that, okay. And finally, this ongoing assignment will allow you and encourage you to submit news articles about media for extra credit. And you'll be delighted to hear that is the end of our first lecture.